Chair recognizes Mr. Akin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of, I think, quick questions and then maybe some that are a little longer. The first thing is, in terms of this program, is it really clear that there is one person in charge of this program?
Yes, the program manager and then the PEO, the job that I have, are responsible for executing the acquisition part of it. The CNO, Admiral Guillory, as part of N86, is responsible for setting the requirements consistent with the way that we do most ship classes. And then Ms. Sandell has the mission packages under the broad auspice of my responsibility as PEO ships and the program manager.
One of the things that I learned early on, I used to work for IBM, is if you have something that's really an important project, you need to have one person who's got the responsibility for it, held accountable for it.
Right.
And so when I'm looking at something which is more than 100% over budget and 18 months late, it says to me somewhere along the line something went wrong. I guess maybe backing up a little bit, was the $250 million ship, was that something that was just a pipe dream to begin with? Were these things low bid by both builders, knowing that the thing would go up, and they just basically say, hey, the way the game is played, quote a low number, get the contract, and then jack it up? Is that the way we do it? Or is there anything that we have to prevent bidders from doing that?
Sir, I'll start with that question. The 220 number that was initially estimated for the cost of the Littoral combat ship, the C-frame, the ship itself, was based upon a number of factors. Those factors included the fact that it was being built on commercial standards. The strategy was to look at what would be commercially available, propulsion, hull mechanical, electrical systems, and take advantage of the attributes that have been demonstrated in the commercial sector and deliver to the ship the high-speed, shallow draft warship that we
So stop just a minute. So what you're saying is that 220 was based on a commercial hull design, not the Navy higher requirements type of hull design. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay. Then we made the decision to go from a commercial type hull to a hull that had all kinds of additional capabilities, take shock and everything like that. So it's much stiffer and heavier than a commercial hull would be. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Naval vessel rules.
Who made, so as soon as you do that, you make the hull much more expensive, right?
There's costs associated with strengthening the ship.
So
yes,
who
sir.
made that decision to go from the commercial to a Navy standard hull then?
Well, it was a Navy decision, and it was a decision made based upon the recommendations from the technical community. It was based upon the survivability needs for a warship that's going to go in harm's way, and the survivability requirements for a ship to do that, which commercial standards did not meet.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what you've already what you're telling me is we started with one idea, which was a commercial type hull. Then we threw that strategy aside and went to a more robust kind of hull. I'm not questioning which one is better or not. I don't know. But I know one thing, and that is you're changing your mind as you're going along, right? You start with a commercial hull. Now we said we're going to go to a more robust kind of hull. Going to cost more money. Were there other major kinds of changes in the design which also resulted in this more than doubling of its cost? Yeah. Well, if you had to pick the three things that kicked us from the $200 million to the $400-something million, what are the three biggest contributors to those costs increasing?
Well, I would say the change to naval vessel rules.
That's the hull design, basically?
The hull design, yes,
okay.
Sir.
The second thing would be what?
We did that while we were getting ready or had already awarded the contract and were, in fact, in the early stages of construction. So it required us to do a lot of concurrent design change as we were going, which ends up driving you into a lot of rework into the program.
Which is still the same point, which is we changed the hull design.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's the biggest single one. What's the second biggest single one?
Again, the rework, as I mentioned, kind of related to that. I would say that the third key piece of this is in any new program, the cost growth, the unknown unknowns were more significant than we expected. We always expected there were going to be some. I think we found there to be more than we had expected in both of these yards. Again, not unique to those yards.
What were those unknowns connected with? What were the main ones?
I would say that, again, the design, the use of American Bureau of Shipping standards, which is a new process that we had in place, and some confusion initially as we built our business rules on how we would look with American Bureau of Standards, which drove a fair amount of relook and multiple looks at the design, which then slowed the design down. On LCS 1, we had a problem with the reduction gear initially. It turned out to be much longer than we thought, which again caused us to do some concurrent redesign. So that I would say would be the second key piece that we found in it. And
that was LCS 1. You had something in the reduction gear.
Yes, sir. They in the initial design.
How big is that compared to just completely redesigning the hull?
Well, it ended up being about a 26-week implication and a fair amount of rework.
So time-wise, it hurt us.
Yes, sir. And then
cost.
And then as a result of that, what we did at the time, again, not understanding how long I think that total delay was going to be, we tried to continue concurrent construction around that, and then got ourselves in a situation where we had to come back and do a fair amount of rework as that period stretched out.
It seems to me that what I'm seeing, and I don't want to overdo my time here, Mr. Chairman, but what it seems like to me, there's a pattern from the start, and that was that we've been changing our mind as we go along, and that, as you know, is deadly to a project.
Yes, sir.
You start with the concept, we're going to go with a more commercial, cheaper hull, and then just when you get that started building it, then you go and change it to a more robust warfighting kind of, which is a different design, and it's going to raise the cost a whole lot. And now we've gotten to the point where we built 2 different trial ships, and we're talking about building some more of them, and the Navy's even saying now, oh, we kind of like both of them. You know, we're going to have every single ship in the Navy is going to be a custom ship if we don't have discipline to say, we got to make a decision, you're going to have to stick with it. And if we keep changing the requirements, we haven't even had a chance to test either one of them. We're going to start to buy more of them. It seems like from just the couple of weeks since I took the trip, it seems like it's a little bit of haze. It's a little hazy as to exactly what is our acquisition strategy. We're going to get, we got this one started, the other one partly started. We got to buy some of it. We're going to buy 4, and then we're going to test them. We're going to partly test them. We're going to get both of them. Do the Marines like what? One better than the other? It seems like there are a lot of questions where there's not a clear cut. This is where we're starting. This is what it's going to look like, and it's clearly defined. It doesn't seem like we're nailing things down, and the indecisiveness seems like it's costing us a whole lot of money. If you want to respond.
Yes, sir. Well, I would certainly tell you in the 09 and the fiscal year 10 ships, what we have told both of the shipbuilders and what we have put in our request for proposal is we are going to build exactly the same ship we built for LCS 1 and 2, that we are not changing requirements in that, either technical requirements or warfighting requirements in that. There are some things we learned in shipbuilding that will tweak the design. So to your question of a lot of change which drove it, we've recognized that. That is not going to be the case in fiscal year 9 tips.
But we're not getting much of a bargain on the 3rd and 4th ships, are we? They're about the same cost as the first 2, aren't they?
Well, again, we believe, we're working with the companies to drive that cost again towards the goal of $460 million in the cost cap.
But before they're going to give you a real good price, they're going to want to know how many they're going to build of these
Absolutely.
Suckers.
Yes, sir.
And it seems like to me, I'm not quite sure why we're going to build the 3rd and the 4th till we know which one of the 2 we're going to choose. And I'm a little reluctant to say, when you say, well, we want to buy both of them. Now, again, what you're doing, you're making decisions which just drive the cost of ships up. And somewhere along the line, we got to, I don't want to overdo the questions, but you can see why we have some concerns about what's going on, I think.